This is Morgan Hazelwood, back again with more writing tips and writerly musings.
This week, I'm here to share with you my top 5 fears when facing feedback. Okay, that was a bit of alliteration. So earlier this month, I sent my synopsis off to my new mentor, and Sunday, she sent it back with feedback, and I eagerly spent the rest of the day avoiding it. I had dived into her earlier comments on my first chapter. I don't usually hesitate to read feedback, so why was it different this time? Well, she was reading my synopsis. My synopsis lays my story out cleanly in 3-ish pages. My mentor could see my entire plot, my character's motivations, everything. So, what were my top 5 fears? Fear number 5, just didn't connect. The most common and frustrating reaction from agents, the pure defeat of, I just didn't connect with the story, characters, plot, blah, blah, blah. But as a mentor, I knew she was going to give me some sort of feedback. What if she suggests I go in a completely different direction that doesn't work for me or my characters? What if she just doesn't get my story? Fear number 4, found it confusing. Sometimes agents don't connect because they don't understand what's going on. What if my mentor didn't get my story because my writing was confusing? My motivations didn't make sense and the sequence of events was unclear. I mean, that's hard and probably a lot of work to fix. Number 3 on my reasons of what I was fearing to hear from my mentor. She found it too formulaic. That would be like a death toll for this novel that I've poured so much of my heart and soul into. Perhaps she might have thought that my synopsis or my chapter was decently written, but when she looked at the synopsis, she might think that it was something she'd seen 1,000 times and that there was nothing unique for us to build on. To draw the agents and publishers in, she might have said, good writing, but not unique enough. Shelve it. What else you got? My second biggest fear, what if she thought my story was too contrived? A critique partner had told me back in December that one of my plot points near the climax did feel a bit contrived, partially because I hadn't set it up properly. I do have plans to fix that. But then I got my mentor, so I'm planning on fixing it as we get close to that chapter. What if my mentor not only agreed, but thought even more of the plot was forced and contrived? I would have to either do a lot more foreshadowing or a lot of rethinking on the motivations and plot points as we draw near the end of the story. And my biggest fear, what if I had a massive plot hole, some logic that just broke my story, and I needed to rewrite the whole thing? That would be a huge amount of work. I am currently emotionally prepared for edits and polishing, but a massive restructuring of my story would definitely knock me back on my heels. That's the thing people say, right? So those were my biggest fears. Plot points, contrived, formulaic, confusion, or just didn't connect. With all of that weighing on my shoulders, I indulged my cold. I still have a bit of a sniffle and a binge-watched TV and avoided reading her email all Sunday. Finally, about half an hour after bedtime, I gave in and I opened the email. All these fears churning in my stomach. I just knew I couldn't sleep if I didn't look at it because it would be hard to look at it at work and I just needed to face it undistracted. Her email? No plot holes, just some clarification needed for minor points of confusion and slightly better justification for those things that I worried felt too contrived. I cleaned up my synopsis draft, sent it off, and just before I wrote this post, I talked to her on the phone for over an hour. And we're pretty happy with where the synopsis is right now and the lay of my story. She likes my story, loves my world building, and was pleased that I could justify just about everything in that synopsis. So when you get feedback, how do you handle it? Is the stress of it coming at you more intimidating than the actual feedback itself?
And that's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button and share it with all your friends. It goes a long way towards helping people find me. And I'll be back again next Monday with more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye-bye.